So I did a thing. And that thing was deciding to get into IT. Why did I get into IT? Great question. I have no idea. Maybe it's because I was inspired by the likes of people like David Bumble, Network Chuck, Mad Hat, and the greatest computer technician of all time. Now's a better time than any. Technology is getting more and more advanced, generative AI is a whole thing now, and it's a lot easier to get access to stuff. For instance, I picked up a PC. Never believe for how much. But I've never built a PC in my entire life. This is going to be a massive learning curve. I have no idea what I'm looking at when it actually comes to computers, but I have a good understanding. They need a CPU, they need RAM, they need power, they need storage, they need all these things to function. Why I picked this up is because of the 2 blue RAM sticks just there. I was pretty happy to see them, but I also picked it up because of that cooling system. It has an all-in-one cooling system. I saw that it needed a CPU, and so as soon as I got home, I started looking. And oh boy, was I not ready. Jumping online to look for the motherboard and any information on it, I eventually found the manual and downloaded it. It is also worth noting that I have no idea what most of this means, but that's kind of the point. After figuring out the RAM was a DDR3 and the socket is an 1150, I searched for what the best 1150 CPU would be, and it come back with 2 options. First one is the i7-4770, which right away I noticed that it was designed for the DDR3 1600. I also assumed that it would no longer be in manufacturing. The second one is the i7-4790, and after some very quick researching, I found that the best one would be the i7-4790K for overclocking and just all-around better performance from the CPU itself. Next was the GPU. I did note that the PCIe was a 3rd gen 16. Honestly, whatever that means, I'm learning. Looking at the different GPUs that are on offer, I figured out very quickly that depending on what you're using your PC for will determine what kind of specs you need. If I'm only really going to be using it for IT, maybe some storage, maybe some VMs, or even just using it as a home labbing introduction setup, I actually started looking at comparing the pairs between all these GPUs. For me, the best case for what I want out of this PC is just a PC that works. Honestly, I've never had a PC. I've always worked from really janky setups. It's just lucky that I even have a laptop now that I can use for these video editing software, as well as running OBS and a couple of VMs on it. It's all a brand new learning curve for me, but I'm gonna aim higher. Why not? So, I guess that means that I need a list. First on the list is the brain, the CPU. The thing that kind of makes everything else work. I definitely want the 4790K. Looking into it, it appears to be the best, but brand new is $300 odd. I've found some on eBay which go for roughly around the 90 to 100 mark, but also trying to figure out ones that don't cost an arm and a leg for shipping. Second would be the GPU, and from what I'm seeing, I definitely would like something that complements the RAM, but also doesn't draw too much processing power. I don't intend to run any major games from this, not that it can't run games, but definitely won't be running any AAA games. So a GPU that can handle dual monitors, OBS, and the occasional games like PC Building Simulator would be good enough for me, and I say PC Building Simulator just because of the whole theme of this. Third would be the RAM. RAM is definitely important. Looking at the PC, it already has 2 8GB DDR3 RAMs in it, which is pretty good. That's the main reason why I picked it up, because I'm aware of the RAM shortage at the moment, and I'm not looking at building a flagship model. And I'm not exactly sure if I would need any more than that. It can hold a max of 32GB, and for the price, I could get 2 extra and just kind of do it and see where it lands, but at the same time, I'm probably going to end up upgrading this thing anyway. I'm not trying to use it like a UFO or a flagship PC with ultra high specs, 8K. I just want milk that tastes like real milk.
I just want milk that tastes like real milk.
Storage is going to be where the fun stuff come into it. Looking at SSDs versus HDDs, an SSD will work fine, depends on what the needs of the computer is. I do have a NAS that was donated to me, hence getting a PC. If I can get a 4TB, when it comes to backing up family pictures, when it comes to saving data, the 3-2-1 rule really does apply. 4TB that'll be plenty. That'll last me the lifetime of my home computer. Finally, we get onto the budget. I picked this PC up for $20. The recycling center, they had like 4 others that were completely gutted. I saw that it had the cooling system, I saw that it had the RAM, I saw that it had an MSI motherboard, and I thought this is a perfect little budget project, but I did look into comparisons. You could probably get it up and running for about $500, but if you wanted to, for another $200-300, you could honestly build a relatively modern motherboard CPU package, and it's pretty comparable. Do I have the $1,000? No. Do I have the extra $200-300? No! I just want a PC that works, and on as much of a cheap budget as possible.
Arms for next slipper!
Considering that the AI overlords are taking our RAM,
They took our yam!
me, on the other hand, I don't need any of that, especially for a workstation. While I was looking into this project, I did get curious, and you can buy a good PC for about $2,000. CPU for this, still sealed, will go for nearly $300. So why start with a PC? Well, IT. IT requires hardware, and from everybody that I've spoken to, they said, just do it. Just make a home lab. Just goof around, see what you can find. But also, whilst I've been doing some of these courses, a lot of them are customer-based focused. So you're usually doing custom orders. People will come up to you and say, hey, I have this system, I do this, what hardware would you suggest? Familiarizing myself with the hardware will also allow me to troubleshoot it. I'm hoping that this will be the start of my home labbing project, as well as getting into networking. The best practice is in the field. Most people in IT are not gatekeeping, it's open source. Haha. Having a home lab will also let me practice in my own environment and a chance to play with VLANs. Definitely something that I am really struggling to wrap my head around, so having something that I can just build and break works for me. I've also linked those channels that I mentioned before in the description below. They say the best way to retain knowledge is to teach it. Now part of that also is I'm insanely bored. I just wanted to do something. Things are not getting cheaper, and honestly, the world gets more and more advanced. I'd like to be able to keep up. I look forward to continuing along. Free your mind, and remember, winners are not those who never fail, but people who never quit.